Yes. Let me start by apologizing for my voice. I have laryngitis, so if you can't understand me, I have my notes written down and I'll pass them over to work on. Walk us through. Sorry, Mark. May I have a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from June 14th, 2021? So moved. Second. Cindy seconds. Any comments, changes, corrections? Thank you, hearing none. All in favor of accepting the regular meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries. At this time, for public comment.
Is it okay if I have Bill read this for you because my eyeballs are?
Sure.
This is from my wife Beverly, and it's in regards to the draft at the beach.
Okay.
Okay, so this village report. Please reconsider putting the draft out at the beach. It helps to keep young children from going out too far and keeping boats out of the swimming area. Thank you, Beverly Hoffman, and I'm assuming Detroit Hoffman.
For many years, the raft was in there, and Roger can even make a comment if he wants to, but like our kids, as they were growing up, they had to stay by the end of the rope, and then as they got a little older, they could get in the deeper water, and then it said, one of these days I'll be able to make it to the raft, and that's a big step in their life and stuff like that. And I think, you know, like all that being taken away from the kids now. So the raft was in there for probably 40 some odd years that I know of, and I don't ever remember anybody really getting hurt jumping off of it. There's signs on the back of the lifeguard's chair that says no diving and all of that other stuff.
So rules change as time evolves, for better or for worse. And right now, according to the rules of beaches, we do not have sufficient lifeguards to man a raft. And so we cannot have the raft out there if we do not have lifeguards to provide the appropriate supervision. So you need a minimum of 3 to 4 lifeguards, and we only have 2. So
What's your capacity if you get so many people out there? Then what's your beach capacity now?
it returns to normal. What was the beach capacity before? 300? 150. Beach capacity is 150.
According to the Department of Health, I believe if you have so many people in the water, one of your lifeguards have to be in that rowboat and being out there. Has that been changed under the new rates?
Sure, I'll have to address that and we can bring that up at the next one.
Okay.
I don't have all the regs on
Right,
it, but we don't have the capacity for the
and
reg.
being everything is changing down there, what's the rules as far as the jetty goes? I know over the years, some of the lifeguards have taken it upon themselves to chase people off the jetty and stuff like that. And the jetty was put in there to save the beach, and it was also there for making easier access for people to do a little fishing while their kids are going swimming.
So
I understand.
swimming is reserved to the beach area that's been worked on.
Right, so if I want to go down there and make a few casts off the jetty, am I going to be chased out of there, or what's the rule?
Depends on where you're throwing your line. If your line hits the swimming area, that would be bad.
The
Some
jetty
people cast better than.
The jetty's been there for about 40 years, and I don't know of anybody that's ever got caught by a fisherman from the jetty. It's got to be 60 feet or so to the swimming area.
Shorty, do you have a specific incident that happened, like, or you're just saying?
Well, I've been down there and I've seen the, when I was mayor, a couple of the lifeguards.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, in recent times this summer,
Last summer.
was someone told they couldn't fish?
Right, last summer there was,
Last summer?
right,
Well, do we have the same lifeguards or different lifeguards? So we'll talk to them about it.
right, because there was
But we have to, We have a long meeting.
Yeah, it's a very long meeting.
We gotta keep it, but we will definitely talk to lifeguards about allowing people to fish.
Right, it's that's not in their duties. To
Okay.
take people off the beach.
We will address it with the lifeguards. Any other public comment? Yes, if you would stay doing for the record.
Yes, I will. And I'm asking for the garden club, actually, this is the 21-2. If we could put a table down for the first concert, at the point, and we're not gonna sell, but we're gonna suggest to raise money for the garden club for new plants for perennials that they've lost in the past, because there's no more money coming in, so we're trying to do like a suggested bake sale.
The donation.
Donation. To have it at the point while the music's there, because that's where I think we need plants.
And that would be a one-time where you're talking about.
We were, no, not every, but we were wondering if it could be possible, if we try it the first week, and if it goes well, maybe one more time to raise money. People are gonna pay.
Let's address that further under the clerk's report when we talk about it.
Thank you.
And one more thing, it's a whole different item, and it's the local law number 1, the addendum for that, and talking about the protecting the waters in the village of Speculator. Are you going to work on that tonight, when to pass it?
That's on the agenda.
To be
No
passed?
laws are passed free until there's a public hearing.
Right, there's going to be a public hearing.
Of course.
Okay.
Any other public comment? Yes.
Hi, William Pestel. I'm here to discuss, and number one, I'm so thankful for volunteers that we have in this community. They go above and beyond, and sometimes they do leave, and the next people have to step up. So I'm asking, and I know a lot of you seen some of my posts on Facebook, I volunteered watering flowers. Chuck Smith, before this even was so big, how much volunteering work it comes into watering our flowers, work, hours, setting up schedules and all that stuff. I'm asking the village to look into watering our village flowers for our community. There's other departments that do it around this area. Amsterdam, you take a ride down Amsterdam, you see multiple municipalities water their flowers. I just don't understand why a volunteer has to water these flowers. There is so much work involved with putting these plants out. It's called scheduling. I hope you're understanding about here. So what's the shaking of the head about, sir?
Nothing, just keep going, Bill, that's all.
So I'm wrong what I'm saying?
I didn't say anything.
Well,
I just
you're
shaking
giving
my
me-
head because you haven't.
I did, because he is the highway superintendent of public works.
Yeah.
So I want him to understand my anxiety and issues. And I put it on Facebook. I got many public information to me from outside saying the village should do this. I've been saying this for many, many years. Coming to this board and talking about, even when I was a trustee, there was always an excuse or there was always a problem. So to keep it all going, the volunteers decided to keep on doing it. There is no excuse for this. I wish the village would look at this. The board member is kind of, hopefully will lead Roger in the right direction. It could be excuses, the man hours, the garbage, and yada, yada, yada. It's called scheduling. Don't water your flowers on a garbage day. I understand we all have busy times. Just prioritize stuff. I worked in that village department many years ago. I guarantee you could put me there today, and it has not changed. So I would like to see this.
So you're specifically referring to the Chamber of Commerce tubs?
Yes, the Chamber of Commerce or the community flower, you may say. The chamber was looking for volunteers.
And those were for the barrels?
Yes, that's for the barrels.
All right.
And Lynn Brown, they've done it magnificent for many, many years. Now they have to fill that void with somebody to do this. And it's called changing. It's hard to change, and I just believe the village has more to offer than picking up garbage and recyclables and water and sewer. It's a beautiful village. We had so much to offer. We can offer just a little bit more. And because they're protecting stuff for flowers. So I don't know if the shaking the head was about, sir, but that was pretty point. But hopefully you guys think about it.
Any other public comment? Okay, hearing none. Public comment. is closed, and we'll go to the report of public works. Jim?
Last 30 days, we went easy. We've been cleaning ditches as we get a chance. We don't get a lot of chance to do it in summer. We finished our sweeping, we put up the bench, flower pots, bear cans, etc. Start working on the roads that we're gonna pave, and garbage recycling, shoulder work, couple low branches, especially around our road signs. That was told that we should make sure that they're nice and clear for quite a distance. Dirt section of Elm Lake Road, we're always checking out, making sure that it's good, and we keep potholes here and there. Next month, mowing weed eat, branches again, ditches, and every chance we get. We're gonna keep working on the roads that need to be paved, garbage recyclables. We're gonna pave all the road cuts, and we're gonna grind the one by Charlie John's and the one just before the village drive and Stump Street to across. Grind them down with a pavement grinder and fill them in. That's in place. Hotline crusher run and Elm Lake Road dirt section, of course, shoulder work. Up water department on 2 hydrant digs and open beach, which we did. And, got one?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about the pavilion parking lot.
We worked on that. We had it graded, we had it raked. After grading again, we still had our big puddle. So we dug I guess it's like a French drain, go over to the ditch and fill it with stone. And right now it seems to be draining the big puddle. Next time it rained, we just see, there was another small puddle there, we just have to wait till the rain to find it and fill in that spot. Break it around, and hopefully it'll be good, but we're chasing the water around a little bit, so it's good.
So would you say it's significantly better than?
Oh, it's significantly better, definitely, but I mean, there still might be a couple puddles we have to fix the next time we get a storm and see where they are.
Okay, and when are you planning to fix the remainder of the beach? That was related with extra
Hopefully
costs.
this week. Hopefully Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on, of course, we're done guys, so we're gonna have recyclables tomorrow, so 2 guys will be doing that. I only have 1 guy, so I don't know if we get to do it tomorrow or if we have to be Wednesday.
Okay, but it should be finished before July 4th.
Yes. Hopefully. If we don't have any more issues.
Yes. And then you mentioned you were a man down.
Yes.
So someone resigned.
Yes.
Anything else in your report?
Next 60 days is pretty much the same stuff. You know, roadside ditching when we get a chance. Get our, dig out rocks and fix our culverts for roads that we're gonna pave. Road mowing weed eat. Work on the dirt section. Work on footage for towers, hopefully. Garden recyclables, clean ditches. I must have that in there for you.
Yeah. Seems like you do it all.
I know. Sorry about that.
And what is the status of the garbage truck that broke down?
That they took this morning, and I called the guy, and it hadn't made it there yet, but he said he would do his best. I said, I know you hear this from everybody, I'm sure, but we absolutely need that truck back and get it. So he's hoping that it's something minor, we can have it by Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, I hope.
And what do we think it is?
That's something to do with the DEF system, which is the emissions thing that burns off the gases, and everybody is having trouble with that, and I still haven't got that figured out right.
So this is the 3rd time we're taking it
Yes.
down. It's collapsed.
Well, the first 2 times they said it was a wire issue, that a wire broke, but I don't know, this time it could be a wire issue, it could be a pump, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, hopefully I'll get a call tomorrow. And, work on Cox Country Bridge. And my CHIPS report is work on the roads that we're gonna pave, and all the 94s, so first and colors are, I just put hopefully the cars gonna put a truck in there, I just realized that is in, it's on the lot in the afternoon, I just have to put the beacon on it, and so hopefully we get it within a couple days. And I'll pay the road costs.
So what is your plan with the garbage truck down? How are you
We are-
addressing the needs of
We
traffic?
are picking with dump trucks, and we're having the town pick our dumpsters for us. We're very grateful that they can do that for us. And hopefully we'll only have to do it 1 more time, hopefully Thursday will be the last time, I hope. see nothing.
Do you have anything else in your report?
Yep.
Okay, sure.
I did my sign inventory you wanted,
Oh,
and
yes.
in that inventory, there was 14 children at play signs, and those are the issued signs that we have cut off. And you wanted to know how much time we spent on garbage, so I got that there. Monday, 2 people, 8 hours. Tuesday, 2 people, 3 hours. Thursday, 2 people, 8 hours. Friday, 2 people, 3 hours. Recycle is Monday, 2 people, 5 hours. Thursday, 2 people, 5 hours. And second and last Tuesdays of each month is 2 people, 8 hours. Okay. And then I have bathroom checks there. We're gonna cut down on the bathroom checks during the week a little bit. So we're trying to check them only 3 days a week, and then about 2 days on the weekends. And I got garbage truck there, but we just went up that, over that, and I got to pick up it down there on my own, and we just went over that, so.
Great. Okay, so, if you recall from our last meeting, the NYMER risk assessor brought to our attention the matter of children at play signs. So New York State law requires the use of federal manual on uniform traffic control devices for traffic signage. So I mentioned that he provided some information that I provided to the board, and children at play signs are not on that federal list. So he suggested several reasons why the sign should not be used, and so there's a list of liable cases that have been brought to court against villages and towns when children at play signs have been there. So he suggested alternative signage that could address the situation, such as playground, children crossing, things like that, which would be in the federal manual. So I'm looking for 2 trustee volunteers to work with Roger to review where the children at play signs are currently based and put a recommendation on how those can or may be changed to be compliant. Art, anyone else?
I can help.
Okay, thank you. So, I'd like to move up, new business regarding 2 open positions in DPW. So as Roger said, last week, a DPW employee resigned, which currently leaves, 1 vacancy and an opening for, a swing position between DPW and water and wastewater. So, as you recall, part-time employees in DPW that helps with the extra work. So, for the HEO position, we had 5 applicants, and at the present time, we'd like to offer the position to Joshua Moore from Indian Lake. He was interviewed by Roger, Mark Doniker, and myself. Roger, do you want to say anything about Joshua's background?
Just that I know he worked for Indian Lake School a while, and he's working out with New York State DOT. He's an equipment operator. He's on just about every piece of equipment definitely every piece of equipment we have. He's kind of on that. So I think he'd be a good fit.
And his references were all positive.
Yes.
So, we would like to, and Josh was still interested in the position, and we would like to start him at $17.50 an hour on a mutually agreeable start date. So I would like a motion to extend the offer of the HEO position to Joshua Moore at a rate of $17.50 an hour to start on a mutually agreeable date.
And he currently has a CDL.
Yes, and he has a CDL.
So moved.
Okay, and second is Cindy. Any questions, comments? Okay, so all in favor of hiring Joshua Moore at the rate specified, say aye. I all of you say no. Okay, motion carries to hire Joshua. We have a combined position that was posted with DPW and wastewater treatment plant. We received a total of 4 applicants interested in the position. Some were HEO operators who were also interested in the swing position. And we would like to offer the position to Aaron Lewison of Pacifico. And after interviewing Aaron, we think he's a very good candidate for this position that would require their training and certificates with water and wastewater as well. Do you wanna add anything with,
Just with the salary.
oh, so the salary that we're proposing is $17 an hour. In the budget, it was initially proposed at
I believe, well, in the DPW, it was 1750, or 1750, and then 1870.
So to start him at $17 an hour, and then with each certificate he gets, it would be increased $1 an hour. So it takes some time to do the school. So Roger, some of Aaron's background,
His preferences all came back very good. He's got a welding certificate, he's got a CDL, he's got the DOT physical, and certificate in mechanics,
which is always,
to a certain extent. He said it's not, but he said he's got a lot of mechanics experience and does have a certificate.
so I'd like a motion to approve Aaron for this swing position, starting at $17 an hour to start on a agreeable start date. Related to Jeff, so Rebecca beat Jeff, Mark seconds. Any questions? No. Hearing none, all in favor of hiring Aaron, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries.
And on that note, I just wanted to make I felt Jake Smith was a very good worker. He seemed well, he was really good. I got along with everybody, really good worker. And so hope he does well.
Right, and you've addressed some of the issues that were raised.
Yes.
So Roger, if you would call Josh and Aaron tomorrow
Yep.
and offer them,
And that's to start immediately, but I'm sure they have to.
they have to give notice. Right.
But other than that,
As soon as possible. All right, thanks. All right, any other comments or questions for Roger? Guess that's an activity. Okay, thanks, Roger.
no, thank you.
Yes,
Have a good night.
thanks. Crystal, clerk treasurer's report.
So the last couple weeks I've been working on the AUD, that's almost done, I'm almost done inputting all the information. And then I'll have to run, a check for errors and hopefully fingers crossed. There won't be very many, hoping to finish that up in the next couple of weeks. After a bit of a rocky start, the beach opened Saturday. They had some delays because of, the stairs weren't brought down and stuff, but that was all figured out Friday afternoon. And they were able to open Saturday.
And the new sign.
Yes, and the new sign, as well as they readjusted the buoys on the, rope for the, swim area to the required, space between. And then unfortunately, there's a conflict with a previous commitment for one of the lifeguards because of school. And she'll be unavailable for 2 days next week, which unfortunately is a Friday and a Saturday, but we're gonna, even it out with one of the other days, either before or after the weekend. I was contemplating seeing if we could get somebody to fill in for a couple of days, but I don't know if that would be more of a hassle than,
Do you know if any lifeguards? If anybody knows of any lifeguards that are available.
difficult on a Friday and Saturday because all of the beaches are open.
Usually the public knows of any lifeguards that could be available.
Employee training went really well last week. I was very happy to see many of the board members there. We'll be setting up another training session for the fire department, and also I believe the Niner rep is going to be sending us a link for the training online, so we'll have that available as well for anybody that can't attend the fire department line. Tax collection, we're about halfway. We're probably about at the halfway mark. I'm expecting we'll get full slew of them in the next couple of days before the deadline for to pay without penalty. And then just a reminder that because the 4th falls on a Sunday this year, Monday the 5th, the village offices will be closed.
Alright, has everyone had an opportunity to review financial report number 2? Okay,
Financial,
12, I'm sorry. Who does say 12? So may I have a motion to approve financial report number 12? Okay, may I have a second? Mark, okay, any questions or comments? There are none. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Financial report number 12 is complete. Thank you, Elizabeth. And regarding abstract number 2, is it number 2? Yes, okay. Trustee Rumsey noted an error in the abstract, saying us $20 for registration on snowmobiles, for which we are exempt. So that would be correct. May I have a motion to approve payment of abstract number 2 with the correction to the snowmobile registration? Mark, second. Rebecca, any comments or questions? All in favor of approving to pay abstract number 2, say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. I believe you had a couple of others.
well, I was gonna,
Vending permit?
yes, sure. I actually.
So, no, that's fine. So as Crystal's grabbing that, we'll go on to old business and give the happy report that on June 23rd, Governor Cuomo announced that he would not be extending Executive Order 202, which expired effective June 25th. And we will no longer be able to conduct virtual meetings. We will discuss a little bit later whether we want to keep the option of virtual participation by the public, which may
Okay. Casey Morrison, with Gipsor, submitted a vendor permit for, multiple days in July and August. It looks like every Sunday between July and August to, have set up down at the, pavilion, in the pavilion parking lot near the, boat launch to do hourly kayak and paddle board rentals, and then also a hot dog vending at the park, the Osborne Point, those days as well.
So I guess my,
That's in addition to.
it was dropped off today.
Yeah, it was dropped off. It was in our box, so it probably was over the weekend.
And when is his first date?
July 11th.
So that's before our next meeting. Okay. So, one question that I would have based on the interpretation of the vendor law, would this be 2 applications for 2 different things?
I believe so.
And 2 different spots? I mean, I would interpret it as
I would believe so, since the dates are different and it's for a different.
2 different sites.
The only thing that's the same is the hot dog part. It's
so are you suggesting that it would stay in the same location as he uses
the hot dog part would.
for the music carnival? Correct. And does he have hours limited for the hot dog stand?
He did not write.
So I think it would be there.
Wasn't that in his email, that he was going from 5 to 9?
That was, no, music on the point is gonna be, you approved it for him starting earlier in the day to 8:30.
Right, because the permit is for the day.
Is for the, I think he was talking about 11:30 maybe or
So what do you do, remind me, do you charge for this?
$50 a day.
Oh, so that's why you're saying that there is a decrease in the vehicles.
Correct.
But I was gonna bring this up.
About which?
The request they call it.
Okay.
I don't know, did you, I don't remember what I really said.
Yeah. So I think we may need to table this so that people can be familiar with the vendor law and get some additional information as far as how much space is taking up, because you can't be blocking traffic, you can't inhibit boat washing down at the boat ramp.
Just inspections, yeah.
Yeah, the inspections and things like that. So we're gonna need some more information to be able to do that. And we'll send that out to the board with the vendor law as well as the additional information. So
At some point, we probably need to talk about how many vendors we think we can even put in there, right?
yeah, we should, yeah, right now we
We
have,
have parking space, well,
yeah, right now the law doesn't, put a limit on it. It's, as we approved, if we can have the right not to approve someone because there are too many things going on, or there are other previous vendors there that we want to limit, or, there are 6 boat vendors at the same time, that can be counterintuitive. But yes, so we can address that. Okay, so that's it. All right, anything else for you, Crystal? So going through the whole business, Halloween storm is status quo, FEMA coded update status quo, Verizon small cells. I was in touch with our government contact, David Lamandola, and he's confirmed that due to supply chain delays attributed to COVID, they're still hoping that they'll be able to complete the small cell tower in the fall and not by July 4th. Right. But they're gonna try what they can do. They did raise some concerns that I had sent to the board in that letter regarding legislation at the state level, where they passed legislation to charge DOT right-of-way fees for fiber, green fiber, and they've approved it to what equates to be about $30,000 a mile. That would be paid annually, which makes it a little prohibitive for companies to come and do that, especially for the North Country. And then there's some legislation that seems to be blocking the progress of using small cell tower technology, which is what we're doing in the village, which cuts down on the need for, it increases the capacity, but doesn't necessarily have to increase fiber and things like that. So there's some things where New York is saying, yes, we want to support the infrastructure of broadband and cell service in the North Country, and yet the legislation that they're passing continues to mire us and things that just kind of strangle us moving forward. So.
I don't understand how the DOT language has anything to do with boats,
No, ours aren't.
ours
Ours, just in general with cell service and broadband and some of the requirements that they yes.
Yeah, the Verizon cell tower that's at the top of the mountain is not working very well. I have to stand outside to get it
Still.
into the phone. Nancy Veneer can't use it from her house. She has no telephone, no internet. She had to go to the beach. Actually got worse after they adjusted it. I'm worried about the craft there that people will be able to use to their park payments. Unless they do something, it's going to prevent a disaster.
I think we have to see what we can do to.
They gotta fix it.
So, I didn't have confirmation from Bob Yankovic that they had completed everything that needed to be done.
I thought you said they did complete the tower. But I'm not sure. I thought you said something about that. But they can get there, especially before craft there. That would be great.
Sure. Okay. LED streetlights, again delayed, given the storm that we had last week, the microburst. So all the crews are out fixing trees and not able to do streetlights. So we're on the list. And the last bit of old business is the grant opportunity. So in the last meeting, I laid out 4 projects and looking for consensus. So the first was a grant project for a parking lot, improvements to the parking lot, making it green, etc., for a total project cost of $140,000 estimated. Streetscape enhancements to include benches, beer cans, picnic tables, and trees for a total cost of $82,500. The third is park enhancements that would be limited to accessible picnic tables, add-on benches, beer-proof cans for a project cost of $41,000. So do folks have an idea of what they would like to see?
I think the parking lot, that's a ridiculous sum of money. I think the other ones, the number of benches and additional cans would be so many, it would come close to.
But we can increase those. This is something that they do.
And the grant is how much?
We would set the amount that we would want to go for the grant. We would be on the hook for 25%. And that would also include work in kind, donation in kind.
So more last one.
Correct. Right.
Max, I think, most of our costs would be less than 5% potential for future.
Right. So my suggestion is that we go for the last one. We had a big push to plant a whole bunch of trees in the past. So I think that if we could look at increasing changing the benches over, since the benches are breaking down, increasing the number of beer cans and the accessible picnic tables. In consensus with that, it would be filed in the end of July. July 30th is the application date, then we have some time. So I'll make sure she goes with that and then increase the number of beer cans and benches.
We should get more steel beer cans. Well, another couple plastic, but we need some more steel ones. That's important.
Okay, new business for the July Parade Committee request for donation. So, a request letter was received from the 4th of July Parade Committee, which is part of the Chamber of Commerce, seeking a donation from the village in the amount of $700. And this was provided to the board. I just wanted Crystal to give a little bit of background because it was not included in this budget or last year's budget.
So, looking at previous budgets and the old software, it was never formally written out as a check or anything to the chamber or the parade committee, but nor was it ever specified within the old budget. It was just within a lump sum that they budgeted for the celebrations. But then looking at their a spreadsheet, it was designated on that spreadsheet coming from the village, the $700 coming from the village for the last at least decade. I only went back 10 years.
So it has been there, and it was missed for this year. So, and it only became apparent that the parade committee was looking for it when a PO was submitted, and there was nothing to draw a PO line on. Did you want to add anything to that, Donna or Michelle? So I think there's been some oversight that.
Yeah, it was always on the line item of the celebrations. They included the fireworks in there.
Yeah, actually,
So-
that was in the Excel spreadsheet, so it wasn't
Right,
actually on the line item itself.
Yeah, it was just, there was a parade committee line item, but it was well over the amount in budgeted was well over
It was a few thousand.
$700, so I couldn't just look and see where the 700 was coming from until I found it on the spreadsheet.
And so some of that money's rolling over from the prior year.
Right.
And things like that, so, I did have a question, for Michelle and Donna. What contributions are you getting from other local municipalities? I'm assuming town of Lake Pleasant and Seco.
Let's see, town of Pleasant was Move forward.
Yeah, this one, fine. We have a request out to Arietta right now. We did receive a contribution from some of Morehouse.
Your contribution was $300.
And how much are you requesting from the city?
Well, 3 and 4, I think it's 4.
Plus you get the higher the number.
But it was, they always gave 3, the Pleasant always gave 4, 5.
Morehouse is 3?
And that's 3.
Yes.
And, LP, I think, was 800.
500.
Well, it did, I forget.
Okay.
7 or 8.
So, Mark,
I'd just maybe like you to read the New York State Controller's Office response on supporting parade.
yeah, so I had been to NICOM asking how villages can support parades. And I neglected to mention to Wayne Beltramo that the parade is being sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce by the 4th of July parade. So he had written back based on the assumption that this was a private entity. And in that regard, it would be considered a donation for publicity. And in order for a village to give donations for publicity, you would have to pass a law allowing the village to give for publicity. So it's not a limit as to how much you can put in that line, but a law would be required. So in this case, it's not exactly that scenario. So in talking with Katie, since I can't talk, if you would give your position.
I reviewed the comptroller's opinions and in both cases, it was for, the money was equal to private, associations. And it is interpreted that, but Wade said it could be interpreted for its publicity. I disagree. I feel it is economic development, and the chamber is a non-public corporation run by taxpayer funds, basically, right? It's a combination. It's not, in my opinion, a private entity, and their job is to promote economic development. Okay.
So in that regard,
You're not fully private, in other words. No, you have public support. It's 501c3 origin, which means you're not for profit. So we're not giving to a private association, we're giving to.
And it's actually the committee, the committee is an ad hoc committee under the auspices of the chamber.
so the chamber is a sponsor.
Tax ID number, correct.
So I think because this was done last minute, because this was done separately press, in my opinion, his interpretation is not, but we have to do this.
Alright, so, I'd like a motion to donate $700 to the 4th of July Parade Committee for the 4th of July Parade in support of economic development for the village and the surrounding area, restoring it to past contributions. Cindy, second. Jim, any comment, discussion? No, hearing none, all in favor? Oh, shoot. It'll be a second motion for where the funds are coming from. So all in favor of donating $700 to the 4th of July Parade, can you say aye? Aye. All opposed? Okay. And then, where would the funds come from? So I will turn to Kristen.
We'll have to do a resolution to move that money around. I can actually, because I did have to,
It's 2 weeks after the 4th of July.
we can take it out of, Parks and Rec.
Okay, so we'll take it out from Parks and Rec.
And then we'll adjust it, because technically to, like, to move it from fund balance or any other,
Right,
we
you
have
need a
to
resolution.
have a resolution.
Okay. So for now, the funds will, so may I have a motion to take $700 out of Parks and Recreations and designate it for that? Third, Jim, second. Rebecca, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no. Okay, thank you, ladies. Okay. Under point number 2, disposition of legal matter. In a legal matter brought by the New York State Office of the State Comptroller against a former village employee, Hamilton County District Attorney Christopher Shambo filed an adjournment in contemplation of dismissal with a condition of paying restitution to the village's speculator in the amount of $8,175. In this document, there was no admission of guilt. The matter was presented in Lake Pleasant Court before the Honorable Judge Gordon Purdy on the 22nd of June. The former employee accepted the conditions and paid the full amount, which was remitted to the Lake Pleasant County Court clerk. So the village's speculator should be receiving that check from the court if it hasn't already done so. Judge Purdy will provide an order of dismissal in 6 months, pending no further activity. Okay, park use form, proposed revisions and updates. The following an informal review is a park use application by the mayor and the clerk in consultation with the village attorney. Some modifications to the use policy are being proposed. Clearly state that the certificate of insurance with the village as additionally insured must be provided by businesses and organizations using any village facility. When we clicked on the website, it was not clearly stated in the use policy, it was in an addendum. So that's just bringing it to the forefront that anybody who sees that would have that interest. The second regards alcohol consumption at the village park. So updating that to say approval will only be considered by the Board of Trustees for events that have a licensed purveyor, which we've done in the past, which was only one event, which was the Bear and Wine Festival. The purveyor must provide a certificate of insurance indemnify the village, proof of liquor license to serve alcohol, and a caterer's permit as required by the New York State Consolidated Law titled Alcohol Beverage Control, Article 7, subsection 98. And finally, recommended inclusion of a refundable fee in the amount of $100 for residents using the park facilities to ensure that the facilities are left in good order. And once that's been deemed okay by the Department of Public Works, the $100 refundable fee would be refunded. So you've been provided language. The only change to that is the last paragraph in the use policy, 3rd line down, that says non-residents are defined and persons, it should be are defined as persons not residing or owning property within the village, speculator, or town of Lake. Does that make sense? Does everyone see that? Thank you for that. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
Question, is that our nuisance permit? It's not allow us to shoot off one?
Yes.
Because under weapons, firearms, or fireworks, it's clear we can't. So I just maybe add something.
Well, this is for the people who are signing the application, not the
Yeah.
general. This is just the people, so we don't need an application form.
Yeah, so this is if we had a gun club and they decided to go on the point and shoot our geese for us. Any corrections or comments or? So I'd like a motion to accept the modifications to the park use form for businesses and organizations that cover proof of insurance holding the village harmless. Requirements for events requesting alcohol consumption to include insurance certificate and appropriate New York State required permits for serving alcohol. and the inclusion of a $100 refundable fee for residents of Speculator and Lake Pleasant, provided that facilities are left in working order. We have a motion to approve that. Rebecca, second. Mark. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all say aye. Say no. Motion carries. Number 4, planning board recommendation. During the organizational meeting held on April 26th, Mrs. Kelly Toogood was appointed to the position vacated by Mrs. Lisa Ehoff. Unfortunately, Mrs. Toogood has to withdraw her appointment as she's unable to fulfill those commitments. In her stead, I would like to recommend that Susan Hartman be appointed. Susan and her husband Wade have been visitors and property owners in Hamilton County for over 20 years. They recently became full-time residents in November when Susan took over the position of Assistant District Attorney for Hamilton County. Prior to her legal career, Susan taught high school English for 15 years, was active in her community theater and civil air patrol. I would like a motion to approve the appointment of Susan Hartman to the village planning. Jim, second. Rebecca, any comments, questions about Susan? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of approving the appointment of Susan Hartman to the village planning board, effective immediately upon her signature of the oath. Say aye. All opposed? Hearing none, we will welcome Susan to the planning board. Okay. Next on the agenda is the audit proposal from BST and Company. So following the procurement policy for securing professional services, the Finance Committee, consisting of myself, Cindy Rumsey, Clerk Treasurer, Crystal O'Brien, and we asked Mark Prairie, former trustee, to join us. We interviewed BST and had several discussions with them. In our discussion, it was noted that the village is required to have a single audit, which is a financial audit, that was triggered by the receipt of a federal grant from FEMA for the Quint fire truck in the amount of $928,291.96. That was expended, it will be a year in July. The trigger for a single audit by FEMA is $750,000. So we have to do, there's no way around not doing a financial audit. Total cost of the financial audit has been quoted as $16,500. This is the same group that is being used by the town of Lake Pleasant for their financial audit. And I distributed their proposal and their agreement. And I've also distributed a resolution. So I would like a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement with BST and Company for the financial audit services. Seconds. Any discussion, comments? Within that signing of the agreement will be attached as part of the resolution. Put into the notes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries to hire BST. Yes. That's it. That'll be corrected. And Jim Rumsey will be, that needs to be corrected. Thank you for that correction. So it'll be the same on the next resolution. So in the 2021-22 approved budget, $9,000 for external audit services was set aside, leaving a balance of $7,500. Last year, we also budgeted but did not spend $9,000 for external audit services. I'd like to suggest that $7,500 be taken from the unallocated fund balance to increase budget line A1320.4 for external auditing services from $9,000 to $16,500. So may I have a motion to approve the resolution with the correction of the trustees to adjust the 2021-2022 approved budget for external auditing services in the amount indicated? Cindy, and second by Mark. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Still. Okay. Next is the proposed septic law for the village of Speculator. So there was a proposal a while back to adopt Hamilton County Local Law Number 1 of 1976, which is entitled Safeguard All Waters of the Village of Speculator, County of Hamilton from Pollution and providing penalties for violation thereof. That proposal to adopt Hamilton County Local Law Number 1 as a village law, that those edits were made to that and have been distributed. And there were no comments at our last meeting regarding that. So at this point, I would like to have a motion to hold a public hearing on July 11th, 2021 for So, may I have a motion to hold a public hearing on July 12th, 2021 for the adoption of Hamilton County Local Law Number 1 of 1976 as a village local law with minor adaptations, and direct the clerk to publish the notice of public hearing in the newspaper in accordance with Municipal Home Rule Law, subsection 20, and New York State Village Law, subsection 21-21. Mark, second. Rebecca, any comments or questions? So, just as a note to both the trustees and the public, copies of that law will be available for review. Hearing no further discussion or comment, all in favor of holding a public hearing on this proposed law, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries. The second, under the septic laws, proposed septic laws for the village of Speculator, is a proposal for an addendum to this potential law with safeguarding of all waters of the village of Speculator, County of Hamilton from pollution. So, as noted from the prior board meeting, a special public workshop was held on this past Thursday to go through the details of the proposed addendum to the adoption of Hamilton County Local Law Number 1. Given that we first must adopt the county law as village law, I'd like to propose that we postpone calling for a public hearing on this addendum until the first law has passed public hearing. So all in favor of postponing this until local law number 1 is voted and a public hearing itself on Hamilton County Local Law Number 1, 1976. Jim, second. Rebecca?
Sure.
Okay, any comments, discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Alright. So the last is Zoom meetings. So for the last over a year, we have had Zoom meetings available under the executive order. There are some people from the public who would like to participate when they're away or not feeling up to coming to the village hall to participate. I'm all for transparency in our board meetings and having people participate. This would still allow the public to comment as part of Zoom, so it's not just look only, but they can participate in public comment. So I know that today someone had come in and recommended another means of technology for having meetings, video conferencing, that we already have a license for. We'd have to explore whether we can do that on a public scale. because I think there's limitations to that. And that would be using Microsoft Teams. So I've used them with good success in the past. Again, you have to have password protection and you have to know who's coming in advance, so it's not publicly available, there needs to be a publicly requested access to it. So I'd like to suggest that we work on a potential proposal for the next board meeting. If someone would like to help Crystal kind of formulate what the pros and cons. Thank you, Cindy. So is there any other new business?
Good, fire tower.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I thought it was.
My apologies. Let me go back. Yeah, I jumped right over. Okay. Let me put my glasses on. Going back to old business. We require, after feedback from the APA application for the McComas Fire Tower, we require an engineer to provide a pier foundation design plan for the reconstruction of McComas Tower in the village of Speculator. So following the procurement policy for securing professional services, East Branch Engineering PLLC, represented by engineer Todd Hodgson, located in Osable, Forest, New York, have been selected as they're available for the project. They're familiar with fire towers, and they provided us with a proposal. The estimated design fee for the foundation system is up to, but not to exceed $2,000, based on an hourly rate of $75 an hour. A copy of the proposal, as well as the agreement, were provided to the board in advance. There are sufficient funds available in the fire tower fund based on grants and donations received by the village to date. So I'd like a motion to accept the resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement with East Branch Engineering PLLC for engineering design services for the relocation of the McComas Fire Tower on behalf of the village.
I have a question.
1 second. Yeah, we'll fix the trustees in that. So, first I'd like the motion. Okay, Cindy, second. Mark, question, Jim?
Is this, I read it, and I was unclear about whether it includes electricity.
It can include electricity. So there is a thought to include a line running from the pavilion to the fire tower to provide security cameras and potential security lights.
Yeah, because usually the abandoned area for helicopters, I think that they want.
We want a red light up there. Yes, so that would be, and it would still be within the $2,000 limit. Any other comments, questions? Lest you ask, did we have a foundation plan provided with the stuff? Yes, we did. However, in consulting with our building code, Bob Begovich, an excavator who built slabs, as well as Roger, it was decided for this particular area, the design was not as efficient or effective for our specific area, our snow loads, etc. And so they are wishing to have preformed piers anchored in the four corners, then having an Adirondack slab go on top for maximum coverage and stability and safety. So that's one of the reasons why that's been done. Thank you. So there is one last point. So any other new business? Oh, garden. My apologies. Okay, as far as the garden club, I think we would need something in writing to the village requesting, but I think if we discuss it in this. We got first, second discussion, all in favor, say aye, all opposed, motion carries. Now coming back
The garden.
to the garden. So, any thoughts about that? I don't think they need a vendor agreement for a table for donations that they did I'm sorry, Kendall, they evaluate.
Right, evaluate it the first week, if it don't go well, I don't think we're gonna do it. And they'll be individually wrapped,
Okay.
so that'll be suggested. And it's more or less like it's supposed to do.
So we support the additional plants, because right now the garden club has taken plants from their own gardens and supply. They have raised funds or contributed funds on their own. And we did provide mulch for the garden that the garden club has distributed and done, and we will be addressing some additional needs of the garden from the Parks and Rec line to ease that. So in concept, are people in favor of having a donation table available for big goods? Yes. Okay.
So you want to fill out,
If it's a form, no, you can just write a letter to the board requesting approval to have a donation table for baked goods set up during the music on the point. Pick a date, your first date, with, further evaluation to have one either the next week or the week after.
I'll just have, Heidi's in charge.
Yeah.
She could make it tonight.
And to designate where those funds would be going. Thank you. Okay. Have everyone anything else? Okay, so as far as board roundtable, I was contacted by Supervisor Farber, Chairman of the Supervisors. They are having the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board prepare an economic resiliency plan and a 5-year comprehensive economic development strategy for the region that includes the counties of Clinton, Essex, Hamilton, Warren, and Washington. So we've been asked to contribute to the plan with information on any water, sewer, capital improvements. So if anyone has any additional suggestions on capital projects, other than the few that we have mentioned, related to any other capital projects related to infrastructure, so broadband would be included, self-service, please let me know. We have a tentative date at Jarko and I to speak with them on Thursday to share those plans that we have. Anybody else have anything for roundtable, things that have come up, any concerns?
I have a question. People have been wondering about the garbage recyclable pickup and where to find the information about kind of the change from gas centers.
It's on the website and on the website calendar.
I referred people to the website.
And it was in the post office since, and Charlie John since May.
Is that the same as you can visit, doesn't?
No, it's separate.
We updated our sheet. There, so.
And copies are available here in the office as well. Anything else? Okay, so at this point, we'll close the roundtable and open it up for public comment, final public comment.
Here's the question.
Karen Nicole?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are copies of local law number 1 available here in the office to be prior to?
They are available on the county website. We will have a copy.
Website?
Yes, under county laws, we will have a copy of the amendments that we would make to make it a village law.
Yeah,
You have
we
that
will,
available?
no,
Or
we
we can
have
have a-
copies.
We will have it available.
You will, here.
The copy on the county website is an old
Right.
Black and white.
black and white,
Yeah.
crooked, and what we did is rewrite it. And there was a couple of comments on it, mostly on, verbiage.
So we've adapted it to a local
Yeah, I
village.
can pick that up.
Yes.
Great.
Bill, you had another comment?
Yeah, Miss Mary and Mark, I know you see Roger and also Flop. Can you ask him to look into the trees across the street, can you have frosties that are protruding on sidewalks? Pretty good, so,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Anything else?
I've got one little question, well, it's not a question, it's for your information,
And
maybe.
who are you?
Robert Huffman, village speculator. Over the years, dealing with the state of New York. One of the old timers come in here quite a few years ago, had something to do with Region 5 out in Lake Placid. And some of the residents were complaining about the lake and whatnot. And he come in here and said that due to the size of the lake, that if it couldn't be addressed like on the local level, you know, knock on the door, neighbor to neighbor, that the state could come in here and they could limit this. They were complaining about the boats on the lake. They could limit it to little fishing boats with kickers on there, which would kill this village because then there would be no more ski nautiques and all that stuff on the lake. And then another time somebody was complaining about the pollution and whatnot. And the state was in here testing the waters, and the guy that was working for the state said the water's running under the bridge according to state specifications. You could drink it. You know, it meets the state drinking specifications. So when you're playing with the waters within the village of Speculator, you're talking about all the water. Now, the village of Speculator goes 15 miles to the north, includes Louis Lake, and in between here and there, there's many a brook, trout streams, and stuff like that. So when you start growing up your little addenda or whatever else, you kind of better think about that. The village line goes 10 miles up down Lake Road, and many more streams in there that would fall under your rules and regulations if you're talking about all the water within the village. So, but like this guy said, if you have small issues, handle it in-house. Don't get, if you start putting it down and make it a law, that law has to go to Albany and be approved before you can actually enforce it. So now you get Albany involved, and it might come back to bite you. So I would, you know, anything to do with the lake and stuff like that, I think it over pretty hard before I went putting some hard law on the paper. That was his advice.
Thank you.
I just thought I'd share it with you. So.
Anything else? Yes.
Michelle Marks, I just would like to say thank you to the village on behalf of the parade committee for your contribution, and we're all looking forward to our event this weekend.
Same here, thank you. It'll be good to get back to normal.
They shoot the fireworks off on the beach?
Yeah. So we will be shutting down the beach early on July 4th at 4:30 to put up barricades.
We can put up barricades.
Oh, we can put barricades out to prevent parking in the morning. Right, so, and the reason why we're doing it from the beach was that last year they were so thrilled that they could shoot from the beach because they have a wider variety of fireworks that they can do a much better display, and it's safer for them to do it and safer for